All right, guys. So let's talk about this one minute. So David Ayer did a podcast recently called "The Real Ones" with Mr. Punisher himself, Mr. John B. I call him John B because right now it's early in the morning, can't get his last name right. Um, and and as you'll probably say to yourself, really, Johnson? Just it's early in the morning, so bear with me. So his podcast came out called "The Real Ones" with David Ayer. He goes in depth talk about a Suicide Squad. I highly recommend you guys to go check out the podcast. It's very good. He goes in depth. He goes in sight. He goes definitely in uh in, in like his childhood, how he got to Hollywood, and where he was, military, and everything. It's a very good interview. Matter of fact, it's one of my favorite interviews I've saw in the last several months. Like literally, it was just a nice, just sit down, chill interview. It wasn't. It's one of those interviews where you can sit down and watch and you be like, "Oh wow, I didn't expect that." You know what I'm saying? And you can tell very relaxed. They're very good with each other. Like it. Yes, we're going to talk about the Suicide Squad debacle in a minute. But also, I want to talk about the other thing was the movie. He talks about the movie industry, and I like how he gives an insight of how the movie industry is today and how it was back then. He said it was a lot more easier to make your own film back then. Today is anything that's a superhero or IP, which is true. He said that now studios thinking about the money, the budget, and will it make this much? Will it make this much? Talk about Fury. If they could do another film called The Fury, which a lot of people love, he's like, I don't think they would. He said, I don't think the studio will put back it now, which they probably won't. Also, he was um, cited uh, very difficult to work with, which you all know what that means in Hollywood. Nobody wants to work with you. You're blackballed. They ain't gonna come out and say you're blackballed, but when they say you're very difficult to work with, you were playing with the game. You were against what they were doing. Come to find out, he was against what they were doing with his damn film, which is true. He just came off of Fury, and you just coming there and trying to sabotage his Suicide Squad film that he worked hard on, and then try to make it a quote from his words, a fucking comedy, which it was. It was a fucking joke, and it was. I was like, good God. And the film, like I said, the film, you can tell the film was chopped the fuck up because certain scenes don't add up. And scenes that we saw in the earlier trailer were cut. And that's with everything with Warner Brothers lately. And you just look at the film like, what the fuck is going on? And I did a video too talk about don't chase the market. Is a video talking about what he said on Twitter about the Hollywood Reporter, so where the DC fans are and how they're chasing the market, how DC's trying to chase the same market that Marvel is. It doesn't work like that. Marvel and DC are two different brands, two different companies, two different same thing, comics, but they're two different entities. One can do comedy better than the other. One can do serious better than the other, which is DC. One can tell a better story than the other. I think DC can. Marvel has done better stories because they're run by Kevin Feige, who's a fan of this property, but also Kevin Feige gets people he knows who can tell those stories through his eyes and his lens. We don't have that at DC Studios. We don't have that at Warner Bros. I don't know when we're going to have it, but we won't have it. We don't have it right now. But let's talk about the real meat and potatoes of this damn interview is the Suicide Squad. He talks about how he did Suicide Squad, the real ones, on the podcast. The movie broke him. The movie broke him. And the big one is Suicide Squad. The shit broke me that handed me my ass. He continued come right off of Fury. Yes, y'all don't remember he did Fury right before that, which got critically acclaimed, did well in the box office. I think it was nominated. It was him, Shia LaBeouf, and the Mr. Punisher, John Berlanti, I believe. Not Berlanti, but I can't. Like I said, tongue tied. John B. And Brad Pitt. Excuse me, Brad Pitt. And it was everybody loved it. And then that's how he got hired to do the Suicide Squad. Um, and he said, I had the town in my hand, could have done anything, and I did do anything. And I go on this journey with Suicide Squad and the same thing. Truthful, let's do all this rehearsal. Let's really get in each other's soul. Let's create this amazing collab thing, right? And then Deadpool opened. And he goes to say Deadpool. What I think happened when Deadpool opened, they changed the game for the R-rated comic book genre. Then, if you notice, when Suicide Squad was coming out, they were pushing hard to say Suicide Squad was an R rated. I believe it worked a little bit too. That's how they got some of their money. But I believe David Ayer was going to make it R. They told him no. But when Deadpool came out, they're like, let's make it R. He's like, what the fuck? Well, you should have told me that before. Stop chasing the market. So that's probably what he was talking about. Um, and then Batman v Superman came out. That's where everything changed with the critics destroying that film. From what he said, they never tested the film. So they never tested the film. Weeks prior, they never tested. They thought the film was good anyway, so they never tested. So they were expecting a different result, and they got hammered by the critics, which they did. Then it's like, okay, we're going to turn David Ayer dark, soulful movie into a fucking comedy now. Ayer recently shared on social media that James Gunn told him his cut of Suicide Squad will see the light of day. I've done a video about that too, saying release the Ayer cut. The reason they're trying to release that, and I think they're going to, not because they have to see a gain to it. Right now, DC has no movies coming out from um, the DC Studio library. So, like I said in the other video, I believe they're going to release the Ayer cut in theaters again to see if they can make money. Because it'll be a different film, and also they could get money off of it and put it on HBO Max. Excuse me, the Max, and that could get people subscribed to the Max, which they don't care for now. Like he asks and cease, but that gives them content. That gives them two films, The Joker and this one. And that's it. And that can help them out throughout the year to film for the Batman and film for whatchamacallit, uh, Superman Legacy. Excuse me, sorry. I can't believe I forgot about that. So that can help them out. They only release 3 or 4 films. They could just release 2. You got the David Ayer cut, and then you got the Joker to be released. That gives them 2 films. I think that's a win-win. So that's why. But he kind of goes back and forth, like, I don't know if I want to release it. I don't know, and just that and that. I mean, you could tell the man wants to release it because he wants to redeem himself from that first film. Because he saw the Zack Snyder film and saw how much people kind of went, like, instead of shitting on him, or they never shit on him because of what happened with the situation with his daughter, they actually said, you have a plan. You knew what you were doing. The studio was the problem. And I believe Warner Brothers don't want to go through that again because the Warner Brothers got hell for the Zack Snyder cut. They got hell when that shit was released. Made many people doubt their words. So many people. I remember so many people talking about the film ain't gonna be different. That film not only was goddamn different, but it was a hell of a lot of improvement. Scenes that weren't in the film, Dark Side in that motherfucker, the sod, and the way they did Steppenwolf. Oh my god. That's a 180. Oh, he was my favorite character in that motherfucker. I never thought I would like a CGI character as much as I love Steppenwolf. He actually grew on me. Matter of fact, I felt bad for him when they say he had to get 50,000 worlds, something like 80,000 worlds. His eyes got butt. Like, what the fuck? Like, I felt bad. But you see what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm saying. There was care put into that film that they kept saying it wasn't. And then when the film came out, it was. It was. But anyway, you guys go check out the interview. It's a very fantastic interview. I actually enjoyed it. It was one of my favorite interviews I saw this year. It's called The Real Ones with John and David Ayer. Go check it out. As always, like, subscribe, peace. Have a Johnson day. I just want to address this before I do anything else.